I wake early Sunday morning and gaze at the streaked sunrise radiating through my attic window. Eager to make the most of my day, I hurriedly dress and go down to breakfast. My train doesn't leave until around 5 p.m. Once more, the landlord has suggestions. He recommends that I walk north of Great Yarmouth toward Caister-on-Sea, where there is a lifeboat station and where today there is to be the annual memorial for those who have drowned saving vessels in distress. He will be there, for he himself has spent years volunteering to search for and rescue those caught in tumultuous seas. This direction has less development, so I have the pleasure, if not relief, of walking away from the amusements of the Golden Mile and wandering alone on the deserted sands between the dunes and the ruffled tide. It is this wilder landscape I have been longing for. The day is windier. Clouds dance, dash, and prance through the sky. I catch sight of a cluster that resembles some animal frantically fleeing an unseen predator. In this level and empty setting, the sky dominates. It is as if I have entered a large canvas where nothing detracts from the immensity and scope of the world. I cannot help but recall J.M.W. Turner's 1830 watercolor study of the beach in Yarmouth, in which streaking and threatening skies sweep across and dwarf the sea below. The Scape's windswept clouds tower over the waters and unsettle the view. Suddenly, I hear a splash. My eyes follow the sound. In the distance, a solitary young man's naked body glistens and swims in the sea. I watch his arms lapping over the waves and his strong legs propelling him forwards through the icy water. He is not, however, completely alone, for seated on the shore is his Labrador, attentively guarding his discarded clothes and possessions. Facing the sea, the dog patiently sits and awaits his master's return. This must be a daily ritual. How distinct this almost spectral image is from another solitary figure that has once eerily haunted the shore. It is said that in the late 18th century, the chained corpse of a convicted pirate hung from a gibbet on the sands where I stand. His dangling, decaying body warned others of the consequences of his crime. After a few miles, a worrying change startles me. The wind blows harder and colder. A lowering, long, heavy, grey-black blade of cloud ominously stretches across the horizon and progresses purposefully toward me. Its threatening presence displaces the white clouds and hangs heavily over the distant wind farm. I have foolishly not brought any rain gear. I see 2 or 3 fishermen tents a quarter of a mile ahead. Hoping for the best, I keep walking. Perhaps I could shelter in one of these, but thankfully, like Odysseus favored by Zeus or Neptune, just as the dark mass of cloud draws closer and begins to release its burden, to my left, a holiday caravan park suddenly appears, seemingly out of nowhere. A gift from the gods. Normally, I curse the intrusion of these holiday centers upon the wilder coast. But now, I bless their presence. I race through the dunes, onto the boardwalk leading to the resort's social center, and hastily open the door. Escaping the pounding rain, I ask if I can stay until the storm passes. The people are kind and bring me a cup of tea. There's even a toilet. I later discover that I am perhaps taking refuge in the very spot, but certainly not in the same buildings, where during the first half of the 20th century there had been a socialist camp sponsored by the Independent Labour Party, which offered working-class people and labourers from London's East End a cheap holiday by the sea. In the early 1900s, here would have been sing-songs, donkey rides, dances, wheelbarrow races, lectures — George Bernard Shaw gave one — discussions and bathing. But, as in the Cooperative Holiday Association I had experienced as a child in Cromer, there were also strict rules. Only one-piece bathing suits allowed, no alcohol, no swearing, separate quarters for single men and women, communal meals, no talking after 11 p.m. Disobey the rules and one is asked to leave. Once the rain has more or less ceased, I thank the staff and return to the beach. The heavy black clouds are drifting off and gradually intermingling with emerging shafts of sunlight. The effect is utterly beautiful and made even more dramatic by the appearance of a rainbow plunging into the sea. The fishermen, whose tent huts I had thought might shield me from the storm, have returned to their fishing. Alone and dependent on no one, they gaze at the open sea and leave the world behind them. Miraculously, for another half hour, the rainbow lingers and varies in intensity. I stop to admire its bow bending over the grasses and sinking into the ocean. I turn a corner and see the rainbow's entire arc stretching from one part of the ocean's horizon to the next. It's not long before I reach the lifeboat station and catch sight of a handful of people gathered to launch a commemorative wreath and to admire a brand new lifeboat deftly twisting and rolling among the incoming waves. In the relatively calm of this Sunday midday, this rescue exercise seems tame and all too easy compared to Turner's painting of Blue Lights of Great Yarmouth, 1834, depicting a boat on its way to help a stranded vessel displaying signals of distress in a vexed, deadly ocean. Many are the stories of wrecks off this coast. Throughout its history, accounts of shipping vessels being driven ashore, dashed to pieces, blown out to sea, and subject to terrific squalls, especially in the autumn and winter months, are compelling and abundant. Thousands of lives have been lost in violent storms, and fewer have been salvaged. It was not far from where I walk that Samuel Brock, a Yarmouth beachman, in October 1835, swam for 7.5 hours at night in waters lashed by the rushing of a mighty wind until he was finally hauled to safety. He was the only survivor of a capsized boat. The knife Brock used to free himself from his laced boots is supposedly saved and preserved with great care, but where I don't know. Life on the sea is treacherous. No wonder that drowned relations and acquaintances are never far from Dickens's Mr. Peggotty's mind. Weighed down by great water boots, their tossed and broken bodies sank into the deep and were washed ashore by cutting blasts of wind riding on large, tumbling waves. Walking away from the sea and entering the streets of Caister-on-Sea, I pass narrow streets lined with 1950s bungalows. My right foot hurts, and I'm hungry. 2 elderly gentlemen passed me by, so I stopped them to ask if there is any cafe nearby. They point me in the direction of one very modest place tucked into the corner of the next street. A table of locals turns to look at me. They nod a greeting. I devour a blissful plate of homemade fish and chips. The owner then rings John's cab, and I'm soon on my way back to the First Down Hotel. The rain has returned. After picking up my bag from behind the office desk, I order another taxi to the train station. There's only one other person present, a teenage boy who I soon realize is not a potential passenger, but a real-life train spotter. I had thought them a dying breed. I watch him stand alert on the wet platform with his pencil and notebook, patiently and obsessively waiting to note the number or make of the engine of incoming trains. I had thought this hobby, founded in the 1940s, had died off more than 50 years ago. Much to my relief, standing alone on a deserted platform on a late Sunday afternoon does not inspire confidence. My train arrives, and on time. It's back to Cambridge through the dark. On the way, I catch sight of free-range pigs wallowing in the muck and mud. A sign on their fence announces, "Happy pigs live here." Relaxed in my seat, I gaze through the carriage window at the Norfolk Broads disappearing into the darkness of night. In Norwich, it's all change. I walk quickly to an adjoining platform and soon merge with the madding crowds returning to Cambridge and beyond. My solitude for the moment has come to an end, but the experience of having wandered alone for a weekend while caught in a complex, paradoxical web of decay and revival, death and renewal, ruin and restoration, isolation and community, has both exhausted and exhilarated me. When I step into the taxi that will return me to college, Cambridge seems once more secure and comfortable. I look forward to a sweet sleep and a return to my sedentary pleasures.